Welcome back to Growth Groups, and we are continuing in our Balancing Act series, and we have learned about balancing our finances and trying to view our money through how God views our money, as well as balancing our time and having a schedule that is balanced and in order with what God would want it to be. And I'm sure us normal people never struggle with having too busy of schedules.
No, never.
And we also learned about having a balance in our health, and a really helpful lesson last week. And thankful for Pastor and Hannah doing that one. And we are here today with kind of a new face to some of you, and a very old face for some others. Not in age, but just they've known you for longer. We have here one of our deacons, Brian Thomas, and he's got a great name, and he has been a huge blessing to our church over the past several years. When did you guys first come to MLBC?
It would have been the fall of 2011.
Okay, so right there at the very beginning, and then obviously gone for about 3 year stretch, 4 years?
Yeah, we left like spring of 2017. And then came back fall of 2020.
Yep. And over on the west side there, and then glad that you've been back with us now for the past several years. And Pastor specifically requested Brian for our topic tonight because Brian is a person that if you've ever talked to him, you have heard him speak about coworkers or friends or family members that he's trying to share the gospel with, people that he is praying for, and that could be said of many of the men of our church and the ladies. But Pastor in particular wanted Brian to kind of speak into our topic tonight, which is having a balance in our life for the sake of our testimony and our witness. And we're going to be in 1 Peter chapter 2 and verses 11 and 12, kind of as the kickoff point for our discussion this evening. It says this: "Dearly beloved, I beseech you, I beg you as strangers and pilgrims, abstain from fleshly lusts which war against the soul, having your conversation, your lifestyle, your conduct honest among the Gentiles, that whereas they speak against you as evildoers, they may by your good works, which they shall behold, glorify God in the day of visitation." So here, Peter is writing to kind of just this gigantic region that had a bunch of different churches in it, of some of the Jews that had been scattered as a result of the persecution that had come against the church in Jerusalem and in Israel. And to these believers, they were undergoing a lot of hardships of people going, oh, these are rabble-rousers. These are people, they're not worshiping the emperor. They're not, doing all of these things that we think that they should do. And Peter's encouraging them, okay, I don't want you to, there he says, abstain from fleshly lusts. So he says, I don't want you to give into temptation, but I want you to have your conduct, your lifestyle honest, pure, among the Gentiles. He says, even though they're coming against you, they are accusing you of stuff, the goal would be that through your good works, through your testimony and your witness, they will glorify God on the day that he comes. And so wanted to talk with Brian. You've been in a variety of different contexts of, you've been a family member. How many kids do you have?
8.
Yeah, he's got a lot of kids and has a lot of nieces and nephews and brother-in-laws and whole yard. So you've got some experience with family, have had a lot of different experiences in kind of the business world, both as an employee and an employer. I assume you might have some neighbors, maybe not as close by, but you got some of those.
Yeah.
But wanted to talk with you and ask you some questions on how we can have a good balance in our life so that we would have a good testimony. So we're going to talk about kind of the two areas that Peter talks about. So on the one end would be kind of some of the temptations against our witness, and then on the other side, good works that we can do to help our testimony and our witness. But I want to start off asking you this question: why do you think we should care about what our testimony is? Like, why does it matter what outside people think about how we represent, God or Christians or the church? Like, should it even faze us at all that should we care about having a testimony?
Yeah, I believe so. I think a lot of people in the world, they deal with hurt. Mm-hmm. And usually they can relate it to anything about you. Yeah. I've had people that didn't like me just because I looked like somebody they knew that was, it's just, stuff you're like, that's not fair. But, same thing, people tend to protect themselves. Mm-hmm. And more than likely they have an experience or they have something that's usually offsetting. Yeah. You'll find somebody that's, they're bitter or they're hurt. And being a Christian, it's tough because some people know you are, and they'll bait you into conversations knowing the circumstance of the other person that's around just because they want to, be amused or, cause something, or maybe even they don't like Christians, or they've got something that, somebody did, or they have a family member they don't like, and they just think it's not, that Christians are, just not honest people or good people based off of one circumstance they had from somebody or a friend. Yeah. So conversations being what they are, you usually got to watch yourself, and I've had it before where it's, like you've got no clue who's listening in. And that's the biggest part of the testimony side. And usually, you'll end up having a conversation with somebody later, like not in front of that person. Somebody will come up and talk to you like, hey man, I knew you're a Christian, but keep standing up. Like, I was talking to you before about, scenarios where I've talked about, things on the job in a bigger setting. Yeah, it matters. The way you carry yourself, how you believe in God, what you think, God thinks of you, how hard you work. There's a lot of things that define who you are. And if you're, reliable, faithful, care about your job or how you carry yourself. And I believe God blesses people that work hard because, a lot of times, God says, do everything, to his glory. Yeah. And as if you're doing it for him. Mm-hmm. And I think that's propelled my career to where I am. Some people are just naturally hard workers. I like to procrastinate or be lazy, which I tell my wife. But, God's always on my side. God wants the best for you. He wants your reputation to be good. He wants you to be a good example. He wants you to reach people. And you need to stand for things too, but there needs to be that balance where you realize, hey, is this guy baiting me into something? Yeah. Or, because you never know. There's people that carry hurt that you didn't cause, mm-hmm. but you can poke that thing that hurts. So I guess that's the tough thing of being a Christian, like, we were discussing too. I've been on jobs where I've had conversations with people. I try to talk to everybody I can. I try to be, social, nice, whatever. Yeah. And then you come in on Monday and you find out that guy took his life on the weekend. Yeah. Not knowing that some people are dealing with some immense hurts. And being a Christian, you think you'd want to be sensitive to a lot of that stuff, but at the same time, you're there to do a job. You're there to work. Sure. You're not there to be the the pastor of the job site or pastor of your office job, or you're not there to proselytize the group. Sure. But just your attitude and the way you approach people and the way you treat people can carry a lot of weight. Yeah, absolutely. I know I've thought before of people that I can remember from 20 years ago that treated me with kindness and respect. And yes, for some of you, 20 years ago, I was 6, but I do remember those people. But I'm sure you can think back on your life and think of some times where people treated you with love and respect, and it meant a lot to you, even as a Christian. How much more so for those that are in our lives or in our jobs or in our neighborhood or in our family that don't have the Lord.
and they just need some of that kindness, some of that grace. And I love what you were saying. Kind of makes me think of Pastor and I have been going through the book of Colossians in the devotional podcast, and Colossians 4, and I think verse 6, walk in wisdom toward them that are without, redeeming the time. Let your speech be always with grace, seasoned with salt, that you may know how you ought to answer every man. Because you don't know if it's someone just looking for a fight. And man, Jesus interacted with that with the Pharisees all the time. And then he would, he would answer their incendiary questions with another question. They go, by whose authority are you doing this? And he replies with okay, if you tell me if John's preaching was from heaven or from men, then I'll tell you. And they go, oh, great. And they get all wrapped up. But then it meant that Jesus didn't feel like he necessarily had to respond to every question. And there are those times when someone's just trying to maybe get at you, and what Proverbs would call a scorner. And there are those times where we just got to go, okay, God, lead me. I don't know who's listening. I don't know who's hurting. I don't know who's struggling with depression right now. And so however I'm talking, however I'm interacting, it could make a difference in someone's life. So in addition to some of that with, kind of having to watch out for maybe some of those minefields with people that it may be either on the hurt side or just like on the attacking, kind of scorning side, what are some temptations that we could interact with when it comes to our testimony? What are some things that could hurt our testimony as we are trying to be a witness for Christ in the world around us? What are some things, particularly in our relationships, either at a job or in a family or something? What are some things that could really tear down our testimony that people go, I'm not listening to you about Jesus because I've seen, I've heard. What could some of those be?
The simple ones, gossip.
Sure.
I've been on job sites and I've seen guys do it, come in and, try to get talking about somebody, and they'll try to plant that seed.
Yeah.
And the more than not situation, usually they're trying to get you to say something so they can go tell that person what you said.
Yeah.
even though they're the one that started it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to be your pal till they get that,
Yeah.
that nugget from you, and then they're like, oh, hey, I'm gonna go I'm gonna go tell this guy what you think of him. And it's like, bro, you're saying worse stuff than me. But that's I think that's a game that's played a lot at work. I think it's like, it doesn't matter what field of anything you're involved in.
Yeah.
I think it's typical for the world. I think it's people aren't happy. They can find wrong in anything. Mm-hmm. It's a mindset. And I think there's a lot of people in the world that are just like, they're not happy, so I'm going to make sure everybody else is not happy. Yeah. And if you come in and you've got the joy of the Lord, and you're, you had a good Sunday, and God really touched your heart and spoke to you, and you come to Monday, that person probably watched football all weekend and their team didn't win, and now they're like, who can I pick on today? Oh, hey, look at that guy. I'm going to go after him. And
yeah,
I mean, that's the situation. I mean, you've got to get to where you find the good in people, because it's not our job to judge. It's not our job to find things wrong with people, because God wants to find them and fix it.
Yeah.
He doesn't want us to find it for him.
Yeah. No. Hey, God, were you aware about this?
I got this list I made.
Yeah. So gossip is a great one that I think we can run into in a lot of different situations. I feel like sometimes it might be siblings gossiping about siblings to each other or to the parent. They can have some interaction with that. I think even with some of maybe our teens or our clubhouse kids, they might interact with some of that even at school, and that can be really, really damaging to your testimony, where it goes, I don't trust what they say about Jesus, because I can't trust that they're not going to badmouth me to other people, or that they're not going to badmouth other people to me.
Yeah.
I think that's really good. Maybe what's one other temptation that we could face as it relates to our testimony and our witness?
I know for me, because my field, it's based on the work you do. Whether it's gonna, I do a lot of repair work on industrial equipment. So I guess it comes down to whether or not, if you do it to the best of your ability, or if you're just trying to cut corners just to get done.
Yeah.
If you're trying to get in and get out kind of a thing, or if you're actually there to like make sure this is as best as I can make it.
Yeah.
I guess that's the thing it comes down to, but I guess to care about your work. I know it's an inanimate object. Somebody 10 years from now is not going to know, the struggle you might have had to do a certain task. But I think it just shows, like, in the future, that's, even with kids, you'll do something or you have them help you with a task and they're like, this is really hard. And you're like, okay, get out of the way. Let me show you. I do it all the time. I have apprentices a lot of times, and I've given them certain tasks and stuff I myself think takes 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. And as a parent too, you're just like, what is taking this kid so long? I guess, patience.
Yeah.
Making sure you do good work, being patient with others. If you're impatient, learn to be patient, learn to teach, learn to train, learn not to be so judgmental. Try not to have a judgmental tongue, but maybe have an eye for the things that you can make people better. I've always been a good steward of jobs where I found guys who were really good at one task.
Yeah.
And the boss was noticing that guy wasn't performing, and I'm like, look, I need to put this guy in a different scenario, and then I can go, hey, look, man, look how much work this guy, and it changes the whole job site mentality too, where you see a guy going, hey man, I'm not going to let this guy flounder and fail. I'd rather take him and utilize him to the best of his abilities instead of letting him fall all apart and everybody else just stand back like, yeah, I told you that guy was worthless. That's, I've learned over my years, and I've made a lot of really good friends and a lot of good relationships with people that even till today, like, guys call me out of the blue, like, ask me how I'm doing, see what I'm up to, and it's like they were that scared person on the job site, didn't know nobody, didn't get along, and now they're their career's taken off, they've done really well, and a lot of it's because a guy like me or a guy like another Christian says, hey man, I know you're struggling over here, why don't you come do this, because I know you're really good at it. And I'll show you how to do this other stuff too. Mm-hmm. I think that's missing a lot of today with workmanship and people just trying to take that time and saying, hey, I know you really struggle with this. Let me show you what I do to fix that and be better.
I think that's great, because you have then a proactive kind of love for people that says, I'm not just gonna let you kind of fall by the wayside. Like, I'll help you out. If you are struggling in this area, but I want it to be able to be better. Having kind of a mindset to build people up, and I think that could very well translate to any number of scenarios. Just finding where people's strengths are and encouraging them in that, and then being able to help them grow some skills for some of the other areas can be very helpful for a testimony, because then people feel like they are valued and seen for who they are and what their actual strengths and skills and talents and what their personality is, versus just if I don't perform up to whatever Brian wants, maybe. We've been talking in a job setting, but if it's, if I don't make it to perform in maybe a family situation where, okay, I know I let him down, I know I let them down, I didn't make it. Where if a Christian comes alongside and has that patience that you talked about, that says, no, I'm going to help lift you up, I'm going to help build you up. Because that's such a great picture of Christ and what he did with us. He didn't leave us by the side of the road. He was the good Samaritan that came and picked us up and healed us and bandaged us and said, I'll pay the toll. And I think that can be a wonderful testimony for people. obviously, we've got so much more that could be said, but we would steal from some of the things that we'll need to talk about with people during our discussion questions. And we're going to go to those now. But I just want to reiterate something that Brian said earlier. I don't remember if it was on camera or off camera or whatever it might be. But because you never know what people are going through, because you never know how God will want to use you in a situation, we should have a earnestness for our testimony that would say, I really, really want people, when I talk about God or when I talk about my church, I want people to not immediately feel like they have to put guards up against it.
Yeah, like, oh,
they'll
brother,
go,
here we go again.
Oh man, I know this person, isn't a gossip. I know this person isn't judgmental. I know this person isn't impatient, and this person isn't, just viewing me as a commodity. This person genuinely cares about me, and so now I want to hear. Or I can listen to them when they're giving a talk to other people about some topic where they go, I can, and it's not just an instant, oh, I know them, and I'm not listening to that. So, because we never know how God will want to use us, let's be zealous for our testimony that we would want to have a life that just reflects Christ. We don't want to have a testimony that's like, oh yeah, I'm Mother Teresa, and all you sorry people need to whatever. Instead, we ought to have a desire to say, people just go, there's something completely different. The Bible word would be set apart. There's something holy about that particular person, that it's like Jesus is there with them. It's Jesus with the woman caught in adultery, going, hey, you without sin, cast the first stone. It's Jesus with blind Bartimaeus, or with the maniac of Gadara, that he is healing and fixing what no one else wants to touch, but that we would say, hey, people are valuable, and so I'm going to care about and love people. So thank you, Brian, for taking time to record this with us. And I don't know who the us is. It's me and you. Thank you for taking time to record with me and you. But we're going to go now to our discussion questions.